What happens when one film turns into two, which turns into 3 and 4 and eventually 10 movies and a spin-off? Well, that's Fast and Furious for you. A multi-billion-dollar franchise which has seen absolutely everything. Genre switches, rotten tomato scores, fresh tomato scores, box office failures, box office successes, memes, love, and of course, hate. People complain about the Star Wars sequels for having no plan, but Fast and Furious really had no plan. The Fast and the Furious was an original film, made to be a standalone. Although critics found it to be average, audiences fell in love with it. It was a massive box office success, making over $207 million off only a $38 million budget. Little did they know that this would be the start of a phenomenon. A very long one, lasting years, almost like this video. Sorry guys, but there's just so much to talk about. Anyway, there's no doubt that this series fell off. I personally have not been able to stand the most recent films, and I know that I am not the only one. Whilst I agree with most people that it was the shift from a ground street racing film to a crime, action, and adventure series, there's so much more to it. See, most people forget that the first film wasn't only a street racing film. The main character, Brian O'Connor, played by the late Paul Walker, was an undercover cop, and the film had a massive plot about him trying to bring down Dominic Toretto, played by Vin Diesel, and his crew for all their crimes. Yes, street racing played a big part in the movie. The races had amazing sequences that fully engaged the audience and gave original entertainment that you cannot see in almost any other racing film. But there were still moments with massive action. The big finale had explosions in it. So how could it be that that's what turned people off of the series? Well, we'll skip over Too Fast, Too Furious, the movie in the series that I've seen least, because it was essentially a clone of the first film but worse. Had some great new characters though. And we'll move to Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Here, we move from Brian's stories. The studio decided to take another approach to the series, originally intending to build on Dominic's story, except instead creating a whole new set of characters with only a brief cameo from Dom. In this movie, the whole concept is that the young racers taught how to drift in Tokyo, hence the name. This wins in the final race. This movie was fully street racing, the first movie in the series to not also be a cop film or have anything else to it. And whilst it performed poorly at the time, it has aged to be one of the most loved movies of the franchise. But this love only came later. The studio at the time decided they needed to create some sort of change. Were people losing interest in Fast and Furious, or were the stakes not high enough? Did they need to take a different approach? So Fast and Furious, that's literally the name of the fourth movie, takes a whole new approach, starting to put crime and action above racing, turning Dom into a powerful superhero essentially. There were crazy stunts, crazy explosions, and although the story of drug smuggling was poor, this movie made $360 million off only an $85 million budget. It's now the most successful movie of the franchise and shows that audiences want more. What have the studio learned? Crazy is good. Action is good. And most importantly, the bond between Dom and Brian, and honestly Brian and Mia, is what makes this series so special. And here, we really start hearing the word family. Now, family used to be something special in the series, but now it's just become a meme used in every single movie. And I know that they are doing this on purpose. Vin Diesel has definitely seen what's going on online, as you can tell by his major, big social media presence. Next, Fast 5. The new approach is action, crazy, family, and racing. Well, more so just cool, fast cars going vroom, vroom, vroom. And you know, it worked. The movie was entertaining, and some think of it as the best in the series. It had amazing cinematography, two big guys fighting each other, and it was a turning point. It was an original take on this saga. There are many returning characters, there's character development, there are explosions, cool cars, crazy sequences, and here is where realism starts to go. Now, realism was important to the saga. To me, knowing this could be real was so important. It made me love the series and essentially want to be a part of it. Of course though, I'm to this street racing. When I watch a movie or show, I generally go through a phase of wanting to be what I see. A bartender after Cocktail, a lawyer after Suits. My martial arts journey started after both Karate Kid and Rocky. And now, I could no longer relate myself to the Fast and Furious saga. Fast and Furious 6 went too far. It's when the fall of the saga really started. It was literally just crazy villains threatening the whole world, bringing characters back from the dead, massive stunts and action sequences, and once again, family! This movie really had no realism whatsoever, but the threat to me also felt so real. These big, tough characters could not all make it out alive. When Giselle died, that was one of the most heartbreaking moments in the saga to me, and something that really changed how I saw the stakes in these films. I loved both her character played by Gal Gadot and her relationship with Han, played by Son King. Now, fun fact is, Fast and Furious was Gal Gadot's big break, leading her to become Wonder Woman in DC. Moving on to Fast and Furious 7, the franchise should have come to a close. This was due to the death of Paul Walker. He passed away during the filming of the movie, and his brother actually played Brian in parts of the movie. They closed it all off so beautifully, and even though it wasn't necessarily the best throughout, I can't dislike it due to how much it honors Paul Walker and wraps up the whole Fast and Furious story. This is how you can tell the cast was really one big family and actually cared for the movies. Yes, they were making tons of money, and this was the first film to gross over $1 billion, actually making around $1.51 billion worldwide, but there was so much heart. And when heart is lost, failure begins. But before we move on, I want to say that See You Again is one of the most emotional songs I've ever heard, and it was used perfectly. So, the fate of the Furious. First, drama. This is where The Rock and Vin Diesel had their major feud, and it really affects the movie. Second, the movie became so focused on heavy action and doing the impossible stunts, and no, not Mission Impossible style, that it loses everything else. Next, the movie was fully changed from its original plan due to Paul Walker's death. This, though, needs to be covered in its own video. Let's not forget that the previous movie had, and still has, a perfect close to the series. Didn't stop them from making the movie. Just like Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the movie feels as though it's missing its main character, which it is. This is where you can really also tell that Brian, Dom, and Mia, I actually haven't mentioned, she's played by Jordana Brewster, and she is Dom's sister and Brian's wife. Well, eventually gets to Brian's wife. Anyways, they are the most important parts of this franchise. Everyone else is second. Quick one-liner about Hobbs and Shaw. It's a spy movie, it's got cool action, but I really just don't count it as Fast and Furious. So, Fast 9, they bring Mia back, but Brian is still missing. They go for the whole long-lost brothers, a villain backstory, which, although it's really bad, I'm just gonna say that John Cena is awesome in the movie, and honestly, his character's actually kinda cool, and there's some cool scenes. I also talk a lot about how Top Gun Maverick fixed cinema after COVID, but during COVID, Fast 9 made around $726 million at the box office. This movie really did do cinema a favor. I actually didn't get to watch it in the cinema myself, as Australia was in lockdown when it was showing. Also, just want to quickly mention that it was a terrible idea to do the impossible in this movie by taking cars to space. Big mistake, guys. Big mistake. And finally, we get the ridiculous Fast X, which doesn't even have any cool moments. It's just pointless action that becomes very boring to watch. A movie I really wanted to fall asleep in. They once again bring back dead characters, and at the end, kill off pretty much everyone, and you just know that they're never going to actually be dead. Thanks for reversing all the emotional moments in the series. So now, they have decided to go back to street racing for Fast 11. But street racing clearly will not fix this saga. So let's do a favor and end it. Street racing will improve it, but unfortunately without realism and Brian, the saga will never be the same. It needs its core, and with all the previous 10 films, what makes this saga so successful is clear. There is a simple, good formula. But even if they wanted to follow this, they can't. You can't bring back Brian now, and he's very much needed for success. So I do believe that the Fast and Furious saga will only continue to fall. At least now, they are putting their hearts into it again. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something new. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts about the Fast and Furious saga and your opinions on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and it all really helps support the channel and help it grow. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Have a great day.